Well, I have an answer to that. I said, now, tell me the last time that Jack Benny, Red Skelton, Vinny, comedian, used his show to do serious issues.
Hi, everyone. For more than 3 decades, Johnny Carson wasn't just the face of late-night television. He was the standard. Night after night on The Tonight Show, he walked onto that stage calm, confident, and completely in control. America trusted him. Celebrities leaned on him. Networks relied on him to keep live television smooth and unbreakable. Johnny Carson was the man who never cracked, or so it seemed. Because live TV has no mercy. There are no second takes, no safety nets, and no way to hide when something goes wrong. And over 30 years, the unexpected didn't just happen around Johnny Carson. It collided with him in real time. Moments of chaos, shock, laughter, and raw emotion shattered the format and exposed the man behind the legend. These are the times Johnny lost control, the moments no one could script, the reactions you were never supposed to see. This is the 16 most insane moments on Johnny Carson, and some of them still feel unbelievable. One night in April 1965, actor Ed Ames, then starring as Mingo on Daniel Boone, walked onto the NBC stage to demonstrate tomahawk throwing. It was meant to be educational, safe, a simple display of frontier skill. A wooden cowboy silhouette was rolled out as a target. Ames explained his technique, raised the tomahawk, and threw. The aim was perfect, disastrously perfect. The tomahawk landed squarely in the wooden figure's crotch. The studio exploded in laughter, but it was Johnny Carson's reaction that turned a funny mistake into television immortality. Johnny doubled over. Tears streamed down his face. He couldn't speak. For nearly 3 minutes, live television stopped as the king of late night laughed uncontrollably. When he finally caught his breath and muttered, "That's indefinite," the audience collapsed all over again. It was raw, unfiltered joy, replayed countless times, and even shown during Carson's final week on air. A reminder that perfection sometimes comes from losing control completely. Johnny was known for protecting his space, especially his desk. Every item had meaning, including a wooden cigarette box he treasured. So when Don Rickles guest hosted The Tonight Show in 1973 and accidentally broke that box, Johnny didn't forget. Months later, during a live broadcast, Carson learned Rickles was filming CPO Sharkey on a nearby NBC soundstage. Without planning, Johnny grabbed a camera crew and marched across the lot. In the middle of Rickles' taping, Carson stormed onto the set and confronted him on live television. Rickles stood stunned in his Navy uniform as Johnny demanded justice for the broken box. It wasn't anger, it was friendship wrapped in chaos. Johnny had shattered his own format for a moment that could never be scripted, proving that spontaneity was sometimes more powerful than preparation. As The Tonight Show approached its end in May 1992, emotion hung thick in the studio air. One of the final episodes featured Bette Midler, who has spent years bantering with Carson through humor and music. Near the end of the show, she shifted the tone completely. She announced she wanted to sing something special, then delivered a tender rendition of One for My Baby. As she sang directly to Johnny, something rare happened. The man who never showed vulnerability sat silently as tears filled his eyes. The studio was frozen. No jokes followed, no attempt to deflect the emotion. When the song ended, Johnny leaned forward, kissed her hand, and softly admitted, "I can't top that." It was a goodbye, not just to his show, but to a lifetime. Animals were always a gamble on The Tonight Show, and Johnny knew it. During a 1979 appearance, animal handler Joanne Steele brought out a capuchin monkey. Everything seemed calm until, without warning, the monkey launched itself onto Johnny's head. His perfectly styled hair, sacred territory, was instantly destroyed. Johnny didn't scream or panic. He sat motionless, letting the chaos unfold. When the monkey was finally removed, Carson looked into the camera, hair sticking out in every direction, and deadpanned, "And that's why I prefer cats." The audience roared. It was comedy born from surrender. When Steve Marron appeared on The Tonight Show in 1980, he announced he would perform a magic act. What followed defied logic. Martin pretended to zip his pants and pull objects from his fly: eggs, a salt shaker, a ringing telephone, and eventually a tiny waving hand. Johnny began as the straight man, but as the absurdity escalated, he lost all composure. By the end, Johnny was doubled over in helpless laughter. After the camera stopped rolling, Johnny admitted that moments like that were what made the job worth doing.
No guest ever dismantled Johnny's structure quite like Robin Williams. When Williams sat down, the rules vanished. Interviews became performances. Conversations turned into rapid-fire improvisation. One appearance in the early 1980s devolved into pure chaos as Robin jumped from impressions to physical comedy, turning Johnny's desk into a stage. Producers panicked backstage, unsure whether to cut to commercial. Johnny waved them off. He leaned back, laughed, and let Robin run free. For once, the host became the audience, and he loved it. Danger arrived disguised as comedy when Don Rickles roasted Frank Sinatra on The Tonight Show in 1976. Sinatra's reputation was legendary, and few dared to mock him publicly. Rickles did it without hesitation, calling Sinatra overrated and grabbing his knee mid-rant. Johnny laughed nervously, unsure how Sinatra would react. Then Sinatra burst into laughter. Relief washed over the room. It was a moment of genuine risk, where comedy balanced on a knife's edge and survived. One of the most controversial moments in the show's history came during Dolly Parton's 1977 appearance. Known for her talent and her figure, Dolly engaged in playful banter with Johnny until he crossed a line. Looking at her low-cut outfit, Johnny remarked he'd give a year of his life to peek under her blouse. Gasps rippled through the audience. Viewer mail flooded NBC. Johnny privately acknowledged he'd gone too far. Dolly, ever gracious, took it as a compliment. The moment captured a cultural shift, revealing how television standards were changing and how even Johnny Carson could misjudge the line. By the 1980s, appearances by Bob Hope had become uncomfortable. Once a comedic titan, Hope arrived with outdated jokes, reading from cue cards, disconnected from the audience. Johnny smiled through it, but backstage his frustration showed. After one painful segment, Carson quietly admitted that Hope didn't listen anymore. He just talked. Watching a legend fade was painful, especially for a man who understood how quickly comedy could turn against time. Few moments matched the emotional weight of Jimmy Stewart's 1981 appearance. Stewart read a poem he had written about his dog, Bo, who had passed away. What began as a simple tribute transformed into a meditation on love and loss. As Stewart finished, Johnny sat speechless, visibly moved. No joke followed, no escape hatch. Johnny let the silence speak, honoring the moment with respect rarely seen on late-night television. Animals struck again when Joan Embry brought a massive Burmese python onto the show. As the snake began slithering toward Johnny, instinct took over. Carson leapt from his chair and fled. Once the snake was secured, Johnny returned, adjusted his tie, and delivered the perfect line, "Somebody check my pants." It was fear turned into laughter, a reminder that beneath the suit was a very human reaction. George Carling tested the system every time he appeared. During a 1983 segment, he slipped a subtle jab at censorship into an otherwise harmless monologue. Johnny caught it instantly. He smiled, glanced at the camera, and let it pass. NBC executives complained later. Johnny defended Carlin, believing cleverness deserved protection. When Dean Martin appeared in the 1970s, he leaned hard into his famously drunk persona. Slurred speech, missed cues, forgotten stories. Johnny played along perfectly, acting as the straight man while Dean delivered chaos disguised as carelessness. Whether real or exaggerated, the performance worked because Johnny understood the character and gave it space. Format collapsed completely when Don Rickles heckled Johnny from backstage during the monologue. Instead of pushing forward, Johnny stopped everything and called Rickles out early. Prepared jokes were abandoned. Live chaos took over. Johnny knew the moment mattered more than the script. Few entertainers could match Sammy Davis Jr. When he launched into a rapid-fire impression blitz, Frank Sinatra, Jerry Lewis, Jimmy Stewart, Johnny laughed uncontrollably. Later, he would say Sammy was the most complete entertainer he'd ever known. One final prank came from Arnold Schwarzenegger, who answered Johnny's questions entirely in German. Johnny nodded thoughtfully, responding with fake German sounds of his own. The audience erupted. Arnold eventually broke character, revealing it was all a setup. Johnny had played along flawlessly. Johnny Carson didn't rule late-night television by controlling everything. He ruled by knowing to let go. The moments we remember aren't the polished ones, but the chaos, the laughter, and the humanity. If you enjoyed this, like, share, and subscribe for more legendary stories. Thanks for watching.